Department with URA. Good morning to you once again, Alex.
Good morning, Priscilla, and good morning, our viewers.
Okay, and I'm also joined by Francis Baguma, who is an executive member with the Poultry Association of Uganda. Francis, you're most welcome.
Thank you very much. Good to be here.
Okay, so I'm going to start with Francis. Let's talk about the impact of these proposals from URA on the Poultry Association.
Thank you very much, viewers. It's good to be here. It's good to be here with Alex. The impacts are quite devastating. First of all, there are immediate impacts, there are short-term impacts, and there are long-term impacts. As we speak, the products in question here have been not attracting VAT since 2017. And as we speak, there are quite a number of containers. There are investors who are investing in the country who have been working on that assumption. So as we speak, there is a seize of the containers at the border because they need to pay VAT, and the same government has slapped 10% import duty on the products that were cleared 5 years ago. We had a meeting yesterday, and there were a few resolutions on the way forward.
Who was in the meeting?
The stakeholders, the poultry farmers, the traders, and the URA, and Mr. Alex was in the meeting as well. So the immediate implication is you will need a lot more money to clear these goods. A big quantity of these goods are already paid by the farmers. It means that the farmer will have to spend a lot more money to produce eggs and to produce chicken. A big percentage of our eggs go to the neighboring countries. 70% actually of the eggs we produce in Uganda go to Kenya, DRC, and the other countries. So that means they've been able to go because our cost of operation is cheaper. So imagine a situation where you cannot consume what you produce. You have to sell it to the neighbors. But if you're now going to produce more expensive than neighbors, that means you can no longer sell to the neighbors. That means 70% is going to go to waste. That means the industry, which is already dying, is going to be non-existent. Yeah.
Okay, all right. Well, the industry has not been dying. It's been thriving before this saga came up. Now, effective 1st July, Alex, 2017, you did have VAT on animal feeds and premixes being scrapped off by the Parliament. In the very same regard, there was an amendment on the VAT Act still in 2017. Consequently, what that means is that URA did stop raising assessment for VAT for all importers and continued collecting without the withholding tax in this regard.
Without
what
the
has changed?
Import duty.
Without the import duty, what has changed?
Okay, thank you, Priscilla, and thank you again for hosting me here. And of course, thank you, my friend. Well, let me first of all make something very clear here that this is not a new tax. It's not a new tax. I think that has to come out clearly. And secondly, it's true that the VAT Act was amended in 2017. That is to exempt VAT on premixes and animal feeds. I'm choosing my words carefully. Premixes and animal feeds. That's the wording in the law. Having said that, regarding the 10% import duty, you know, we've got domestic tax and then import duty. Now, the import duty is, of course, VAT is a domestic tax. Import duty is a duty that is imposed based on the common external tariff when you import goods and bring goods in the country. Now, what has happened right now is that there were two issues. One, first of all, the product we are looking at are concentrates, not premixes and not animal feeds. So if you look at, like I said, the VAT Act talks about exemption on premixes and animal feeds. It doesn't mention the word concentrates. Now, regarding the 10% import duty, you know, under the East African Community Customs Management, common external tariff, these goods are classified under what we call heading 2309. Now, the classification is basically a globally used system of categorizing goods as traded internationally. And under the EAC, we've got what we call a common external tariff. It's based on the World Customs Organization harmonized system of coding goods. Now, in the EAC Cost Common External Tariff, we've got two subheadings where animal feeds are actually catered for. Now, there's a heading 2309-9010 that provides for premixes. Then there's another subheading. There are two subheadings. Heading 2309-10-00 provides for premixes that attract 0% import duty. And all along, premixes have been cleared at 0%. Now, the other subheading, which is 2309-9090, provides for a 10% import duty. Now, these duties, by the way, are applicable in the entire EAC region. And so what has been happening is that most of the dealers, and here we are talking about the dealers, they have been classifying concentrates as premixes. They have been classifying them under 2309-9010, attracting 0%, instead of classifying them under 2309-9090 under the residual subheading that's supposed to attract 10%. Now, so it's something that I thought need to be put out clearly. It's not a new tax. However, of course, we had a discussion with them, with the Poultry Association yesterday. But of course, I had my friend talking about, of course, the impact to farmers in terms of the cost of production and all that, which of course is fair enough. But let us look at the law as it is currently. And as URA, our purpose and duty is to implement the tax laws. Tax laws domestically have to be passed by Parliament into an act, and then that's when it's effected as law. There's no way URA can introduce the tax midway the financial year. It has got to be passed by Parliament. Even the EACCET, the rates cannot be introduced unilaterally. We don't do it unilaterally as a country. It has got to be done within the EAC region. So I thought in terms of the tax bit, I needed to give that clarification. That's not a new tax. It's true that the VAT Act is there providing for that, but it provides for premixes and animal feeds, and concentrates are not provided for.
Okay, Francis, that's his explanation. But you've been a dealer and you have been bringing in these products and these things into the country. So exactly what is the difference between animal feed, premixes, and the concentrates that they're now slapping the import duty?
I find it a little bit ambiguous. When you want to disqualify a concentrate from being either animal feed or a premix, what our friends are trying to do, they're trying to exempt a complete feed, that you can actually import all the way from Europe a complete feed and they will not tax it with VAT. But when you bring a concentrate which is going to be used to mix with the local raw materials, that they're going to tax. Which
is important for you.
Yes.
You cannot do without the concentrate.
Let me show you the ambiguity here. A complete feed is exempted from VAT, but a raw material, a concentrate, which is being disqualified from being either animal feed or premix, is going to be taxed. What this means is that a local farmer can now import complete feed and forego all the other value chains of maize, chachu, cotton and everything. The product that we're bringing actually falls within premixes. There's a specific term called premix, but the word premixes applies in a category. Premix means a premixture. A premixture is something you use to add with another. So, if you want to disqualify a concentrate from being a premix, how do you disqualify it from being an animal feed? Okay, if it's not an animal feed, why do you encourage to actually bring a whole complete feed? Because we're all about supporting the local industry.
Because in the complete feed there's concentrate.
In the complete feed has a number of things. A concentrate helps you to make a complete feed. So in this act, which is being misinterpreted because of language, the issue we're having here is wording. Wording is animal feed. Animal feed was categorized as animal feed. A concentrate is also a feed. According to the American Association, they describe a concentrate as a feed which is used to improve the nutritive value of another feed. It can be diluted. So what we're doing here is we're getting the English wrong, and we're making a blunder. How? We are encouraging importation of a complete feed, but discouraging importation of a raw material. So the wording here is an issue. That is why we agreed in the meeting with them yesterday that let us give ourselves a month, which they accepted, and I want to thank them for that, because for sure they also don't know exactly what is happening here. The issue is the wording. He referred to the region. I'm going to refer you to a case in Kenya where the same happened, and unfortunately, if you find out from Alex where they get their information of what a concentrate is, what a premix is, and what the others are, they get information from random websites. But what the Kenyans did, KRA actually tested.
That's the Kenya Revenue Authority.
The Kenya Revenue Authority. They tested the concentrate, and I have a document here. This is Kenya Revenue Authority. The reference is KRA C&BC BIA THQ 46907. The year is 2020. And the case here was tariff classification. The issue here is classification, and classification begins from wording. So the issue here is tax clarification for new science, pig 25 concentrate, 25 kilograms, import entry. Product analysis and classification. They tested the product. This is what they say. We refer to a request by the release point for traffic classification for the above mentioned product. The product is specified to be new science, pig 25 concentrate, a premix primarily used as a raw material in preparation of animal feeds at mixing ratio of 25%. Laboratory analysis carried out on the sample tested was found to be preparation containing vitamins, amino acids, and complex nitrogenous compounds with crude protein 38.07% and inorganic material blah blah blah. Now, heading 23.09 covers the classification of preparations of a kind used in animal feeding. They go ahead and say, the heading includes preparations usually marked as premixes, which improve digestion and more generally ensure that the animal makes good use of the feeds and safeguard its health. Vitamins or provitamins, amino acids, antibiotics, coccidiostats, trace elements, emulsifiers, etc. Based on the above information, new science pig 25 concentrate is therefore considered to be a premix concentrate. So there's clearly an issue with wording. All right. Just to finalize this, classified as a premix concentrate and is considered to fall in the 2022 East African Customs Management Code, subheading 2309.90.10 that provides for premixes used in manufacture of animal and poultry feeds. So the counterparts in Kenya actually qualify this to fall under the subheading.
Francis. Yeah. Alex, this is where you get to come in. The big question is, yes, classification, understanding, the wording, but also why has it taken URA close to 5 years to you actually coming down to understanding what your concentrate means from your side, where it comes into tariffing and then application of it suddenly without informing, consulting, educating each other as the two bodies concerned with this conversation?
Okay, thank you, Priscilla. I was listening to my brother very closely, and of course I heard him saying that, you see, URA, we've misunderstood the language, the wording, and so on. Now, really what we are talking about is not any other language but English. We're not talking Greek, we're not talking Arabic, we are not talking maybe Spanish. This is English. So if there's no ambiguity whatsoever as far as the wording is concerned. Of course, he mentioned that we've checked other websites, general websites. Let me tell you that one of the websites that we've checked is one of the biggest importers of concentrates in Uganda, that is Cowdice. If you go to not only the website, but all the websites, there's a clear distinction between premixes, concentrates, and animal feeds. It's clear. This is, you see, we are talking about nomenclature.
But there can be a concentrate premix.
Let me finish my submission. Let me finish my submission. You see, in every discipline, there's what we call nomenclature. Now, the nomenclature in that field is very clear, and it's not ambiguous. A premix is a premix. Even if you look at the particulars and if you look at the ingredients, they're not the same. In fact, you use a premix to make a concentrate, and then you use a concentrate to make animal feed. It's very clear. The literature is available in the public domain. So there's no ambiguity whatsoever as far as that is concerned.
All right, then the question of why did you do it immediately?
I'm getting to that, but I need to clear some issues here. Now, if there's a problem with the law, where concentrates were not mentioned, let us handle it at that point. And I think that's what we engaged with the Poultry Association. We're saying, fine, if the VAT Act mentioned premixes and animal feeds and did mention concentrates, let's handle it at that. But as we have the law currently, that's what it is. So it's not something that really that we are doing anything outside the norm. But also, let me also bring this to his attention. You know, he made a reference to KRA. You see, I am, by the way, a classification expert accredited by the World Customs Organization, and that's my field of study. Classification is something that actually is not something that you say is you can agree. There have been so many disputes and disagreements that have actually been forwarded to the World Customs Organization. So you cannot say because Kenya did this, classified it this way, therefore we must go by that. That's not really how we do the business.
It's a reference.
You can look at reference.
Okay.
So really, by using the classification in Kenya and saying that we should do that, yes, we can use it as a reference. But you see, we also have the right as an independent customs administration to take an independent position. Now, coming back to the question that you asked about why now. Now, let me also make this clear. If you look at the importations of concentrates from 2017 to date, it has been on the increase. Now, it has been on the rise. From 2017, we had about 36 billion in terms of about, not even, slightly less than 36 billion. But now, if you look at the figures we had last year, it's 360 billion. Now, what does that mean? It means that at the beginning, they were bringing premixes. Now, later on, they started bringing concentrates. Now, earlier on, we did not profile this as a risky item. Now, because of that profiling it as a non-risk item, you know, we use sometimes risk-based controls instead of transaction-based controls. Now, based on that, we allowed clearance. And normally, when the risk of an importation is low, we normally channel them through the blue channel. And by the way, let me also make this clear. The system that URA operates is self-declaration. The client makes a self-declaration.
But who does the verification?
And then listen, let me finish. Now, because we decided to categorize them under most of the clients, the agents who clear them are actually authorized economic operators. Now, under authorized economic operators, it means that the goods that come are not verified. They are cleared blue. We just do what we call a post-import audit. And that's precisely what has happened.
Okay, that's what has been happening.
We did,
so
and it's provided for.
You had a meeting between the two.
Yes, it was. By the way, let me finish this statement. Yeah. Carrying out a post-import audit is a normal customs practice. It's provided for even in the law. In the East African Community Customs Management Act, we are allowed to go back 5 years. You may ask yourself, why did you go back 5 years and not 10 years, not 6 years? It's because we are moving within the purview of the law. It provides that even the revised Kyoto Convention allows that anytime you get additional information, you are free to go back and review the declaration.
So from the meeting that you had between you two in closed doors, Poultry Association and URA, Alex, on your side, what is the commitment of URA in mitigating this matter?
Thank you for that. And I did want to thank the Poultry Association. In fact, as URA, our policy is to engage with stakeholders. We listen to stakeholders. And I think that's exactly the spirit in which we engage with them. We had a discussion with them to show them our understanding and also to hear from them. And indeed, there are very good resolutions that we came up with as we are going to move forward in terms of how to resolve this issue. And we, as URA also, by the way, we have what we call alternative dispute resolution schemes. That allows us to resolve any dispute amicably. We do believe these are our clients, first of all. We need to make that clear. And that's why we listen to them. And in the meeting, indeed, you can testify. We came up with very good resolutions on how
Francis, what are the resolutions you feel are comfortable in mitigating this situation?
I think one is better than zero. I think the resolution to give provisional clearance is something we welcomed because we need to have a continuity of business. The only problem is we are clearing, but with an attraction of the same taxes. It means that we are between a rock and a hard place. How do we now release these products into the public? Do we apply VAT? Do we apply import duty? What VAT and import duty means, it is now adding 28% of the cost on the feed. This means if we now charge the farmers with a 28% increment, it means that they can now no longer be able to produce competitively. But if we release these products at the same prices, they're going to come back in case they are convinced that actually a concentrate is not a feed or a premix, probably it falls in cement or steel, then they could probably say, now you have to pay the 28%. So we are between a rock and a hard place. Whereas it's a good start, we want the provisional clearance without any tax attached, and preferably we want them to go back as soon as possible to understand that actually a concentrate is a feed. Okay. When you look at what people are doing in the neighborhood, because we are all under the East African Community Management Act, they are clearing this zero without any duty. So it's making us formally a glorious country.
As I have to let you go, Francis, what other ministries or officials are you engaging with to find?
Before we get there, we are into import substitution as well. I know of at least 2 companies, including Cowdice, that are starting up factories here to produce the same here. But the issue is we don't have local capacity to supply these factories. So the plan from Cowdice is actually to empower farmers to grow a lot more protein, soya, and the rest. And all the products are being manufactured here. We are at one point imported. So we are into growing the capacity of the farmers to be able to supply the factories. From here, we are meeting the Deputy Speaker of Parliament. We also have a meeting with the Minister of Finance tomorrow. All these people think this is ambiguous because when they were bringing this act, it was categoric: animal feed, premixes. Because there are a lot of wordings, about 100 different wordings. So if you're going to go by the word English but not the category, you're being elusive and you're being random.
Okay. All right. Thank you so much, Francis. We're going to be taking a short break.
I don't know whether you can allow me before it goes.
No, you
we're returning with this conversation. A short break, and then we return with more of this.
Yeah, thank you.
You're watching Morning at NTV.
My name is Isaac Ijangu. I'm an accident victim. Way back in 2021, as I was crossing the road heading home, I was run over by a speeding car. And I was rushed to hospital. I lost consciousness. The first place I reached was actually the theater because I had to have a surgery, actually stitching. So it was actually the next day when I gained my consciousness and I was like, oh Jesus Christ, what happened to me and where am I? My advice to all the road users is to be very vigilant when crossing the road. And to the drivers, always have your headlamps on in the night. Trade deco, every life matters.
This message was brought to you by Viva Energy and NTV Uganda.
Hello, women entrepreneurs in Hoima. Here is a chance to elevate your business to greater heights. Daily Monitor, in partnership with DFCU Women in Business and Uganda Investment Authority, bring to you the free Rising Woman Training in Hoima. Don't miss the free trainings to all business women in Hoima and surrounding districts on 28th and 29th September 2022 at Teak Hotel. For queries, visit any DFCU branch, Daily Monitor, and Uganda Investment Authority offices or call DFCU Bank 0800-2220-000 or 0777-530044. Rising Woman, taking your business ahead. Northern Uganda, are you ready? The Saturday Monitor, in partnership with NTV and NARU, brings you the 29th Seeds of Gold Farm Clinic in Lira, focusing on cassava, dairy, rice, fish farming, and soybean, to be held at the Ingeta Zono Agriculture Research and Development Institute in Ingeta Zadi. Come join us on Saturday, 8th October 2022 from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. Breakfast and lunch are free. For exhibition or more information, please call 0777 530044 or 0756 849133. Sponsored by Bank of Uganda, Stanbic Bank, NSSF and Zoetis. Seeds of Gold, smarter farming for bumper harvest.
You're watching Morning at NTV.
Still morning at NTV, impact of URA's proposed taxes on poultry feeds. Now, we've had representation from the Poultry Association of Uganda. Francis Bagumba has given us the understanding, and it all comes down, according to them, it all comes down to the misunderstanding in wording and categorizing of animal feed and then pre-mixes, as well as the word concentrate, which on the side of URA also is having its own differentiation in the classification. And that's where the matter is. But resolution between URA and the association is that they're going to first put a pause on that and then, you know, allow business to flow while they find a permanent solution to this, so that both can be benefiting from whatever it is that is happening in the country presently affecting poultry farmers. Now, when it comes to poultry, of course, we pride in, you know, being a regional supplier. South Sudan, Rwanda most recently, biggest market, neighbors in Congo as well as Kenya, also pride of enjoying our eggs. But Alex, you wanted to make a clarification in regards to taxes.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Priscilla. I just wanted to make this clear that yes, we agreed to release the goods provisionally, but there are no taxes they're going to pay. A provisional release means that you will not pay the duty for the time being as this matter is being resolved. The only thing that URA requires is security of the would-be taxes. So which means that you can take your goods and you
leave the 28% behind as security?
Yeah, of course, the security may not be...
the resolution is that they have to pay. That is what covers the
Exactly. So the security may be a check. It can be a check. It can be any bank draft or whatever it is. So it's not really that you're going to give cash.
Alex,
the entry will be assessed.
A tough spot. If you're exempting, exempt.
No.
Don't exempt. With the hope that in case it goes in your favor, you can still recover that tax.
Lucy, let me tell you this. There is a law. The current law exempts only premixes and animal feeds. It doesn't exempt concentrates. So why would we then exempt it? Because if we do that, we shall go against the law. But what we are saying is that as we are resolving and having conversations, let's allow them provisional release. And that's why the word provisional is there.
So is that provision applicable to what is in storage under URA right now, or plus everything that will be coming in the meantime?
It includes everything that is coming in the meantime. We've given ourselves a period of 1 month. So they're allowed to clear what is currently in custody of URA, and including those that are in transit. They'll all be cleared as we have this matter discussed collectively.
While we're discussing this matter, I'm joined by Charles Chagwe Sebastian, who is a farmer in Mukono. 40,000 birds is where he was at until this mishap happened. Now his farm has been reduced to 20,000 birds. He's here to tell us his journey into the poultry business, how he has been able to thrive, but how this one thing could actually alter his business and his livelihood. Good morning to you, Charles.
Good morning to you. Thank you so much for hosting me. My name is Charles Sebastian Jagwe. I'm a poultry farmer situated in Mukono district. Well, before I go to the main submission, I think allow me to make a few remarks. And one of them is that, for me, I believe that there is no problem that cannot be solved. All problems that we face in the universe are man-made. And we can as well find a solution to this sort of problem. The other aspect is, many of the farmers you see today in Uganda, especially poultry farmers, heeded a government call. It is government which came to us, encouraged us to go into poultry farming. Many of the people who are involved in other activities, commercial activities, changed whatever they were doing and came into farming. And I remember even government giving out checks, trying to encourage people to go into farming. I'm surprised that at this point in time, government can just come up, introduce a new tax, a tax which is not incentivizing the activities that these people are involved in. I will tell you that before the introduction of the concentrate, the so-called concentrate, the feeds were adulterated. It was not easy to realize margins in this business. The other remark is when you try to say that you're trying to commercialize agriculture, you have to commercialize agriculture while adapting new technologies. The technology that is being adapted here is the use of the concentrate. It is quite evident that we are not at the level of manufacturing a concentrate. Whichever language that can be employed to define a concentrate, for us as farmers, we are using it, and it's helping us. So, whichever amount of English that can be used, whichever amount of mathematics that can be employed here, there is no way we can say that when you get rid of the concentrate, somebody else is going to bring it up very soon. The other aspect I also want to point out is I want to place some blame on Ugandans and government. The problem we have as Ugandans is that when you have a problem in a particular sector of the economy, the other sector which is not affected at that particular point in time just keeps quiet. Today, the farmers are complaining, let's say the poultry farmers, but the traders are keeping quiet. The other members of the economy are not concerned at all. Whereas I would believe that as Ugandans, we should get more concerned on issues of national importance. For example, I believe that the agricultural sector is one of the key employers in this economy. So when we come up and say that the economy is dwindling and many people are just keeping quiet, government itself is just coming in the midst of so many problems. I want to assure you that many of the people in the business industry today are just struggling. People who mortgage their properties are being taken over. People who try I'm trying to say that the cost of doing business right now.
Jagwe, in your opinion, how can this matter be resolved?
To resolve this matter, first and foremost, we need to come together. The stakeholders need to come together, find a way of transiting from point A to point B. For example, if URA feels that this is the right time to start taxing this item, it should be processual. It should not be impromptu. You don't just jump and put a tax on two people, because the businesses that we undertake are based on projections. And for us to be able to put up these businesses, we get money from various sources. Some people got money from loan sharks, others got money from commercial banks, and they mortgage their properties. So when you increase the cost of doing this business, it implies that these people's margins are going to go low, and they will not be in a position to service the loans or the interest that they acquired from commercial institutions. Thank
you so much, Jagwe. Clearly, the plight is bigger than we had anticipated. One of the things that I'm getting from the submissions this morning is the miscommunication or misunderstanding of what government had put out there as a harnesser of the poultry industry growing back in 2017. Jagwe has referred to it as a new tax, and yet, according to URA, it's not necessarily a new tax. It's a tax that has been there. It was just not applied at the time or in the period of the past 5 years. But the resolution is that between URA and the Poultry Association, of course the traders, they've given them a 1 month notice. So for every animal feed concentrate premix that is within the premises of URA is cleared to get into the market. Even anything that is coming within this period of the 1 month is clear to get it to the country and into the market to aid the likes of Jagwe to continue on with the poultry business and be able to earn a living, not just for themselves but for the economy and the East African region, as they come to a mitigation, a fine line that will, be, I think, potentially possible for both URA and the poultry farmers. And so we'll be following up this story closely. But for Alex, I think for me, my task to you as we close this is that you need to have sensitization to Poultry Association because of the misunderstanding of what they're perceiving this conversation to be about. We're going to be joining Stephen Mbide in Kasangati, where there is a suspected death, Ebola.
Yes, Priscilla Regina, there is a lot of panic around this place, Kasangati Township, and especially here at the Kasangati Health Center for this is Wakiso district. Of course, this is just resulting after the death of a suspected Ebola case here around 5 p.m. There was a lot of panic within the medical professionals here, the attendants, as well as the people who are just coming here at the health center. This is why I'm here, to understand the facts from Dr. Peter Sejibwa, who is a doctor here at Kasangati Health Center, but also the mayor of this town council, Tom Mwonge. They will be letting me know what exactly happened here. And behind me is an isolation center they put up already. Dr. Sejibwa Peter, what exactly happened here?
Yes, we received the patient yesterday at around 11, and we suspected that the patient had Ebola symptoms. Because the patient had Ebola symptoms, we suspected the patient had Ebola. So we had to isolate the patient and take on the care accordingly. However, we found ourselves limited in certain aspects of care, but we did what we could. We took the samples, though the samples have not yet been taken. And around 5 in the evening, the patient passed on. So we cordoned off the place, like you see the ward, and the caretakers were also kept around, awaiting isolation at some designated place that will be decided by our superiors. And around 1 in the night, the body was taken. So far, that is the situation.
That patient 0, which signs did he present with, and how old was he? Where was he coming from?
The patient was around 20 years of age, from Namlonge village, and had symptoms of headache, of vomiting blood, had diarrhea, and was bleeding profusely. Those were the symptoms which were pointing at Ebola. Though not yet confirmed, but was an Ebola suspect. Yes, sir.
Okay. Finally, for you, is there is a lot of fear within your health officials here, and also other patients in this facility. How will you assure them that, yes, away from the isolation center, all is well here at the facility? Because many people are still even fearing coming here at Kasangati.
Of course, we are still taking on the standard measures, rather protocols, as regards safeguarding ourselves and other patients we are taking care of. Of course, we have limitations in terms of protecting gear and the rest, but we are trying our best to keep the services moving usually, rather normally. Yes, sir.
Thank you so much, Dr. Sejibwa Peter, doctor here at Kasangati Health Center. Let me turn to the mayor of this area, Kasangati Township, Mr. Tom Mwonge. So kulaba abantu bali mukutya.
Kituufu ddala abantu baffe bali mukutya olwa omuntu eyalabise n'obubonero bonna omulwadde w'Ebola bw'alina okuba nabwo. Abasawo bagezaako okukola ekisoboka n'abazadde b'omugenzi naye obulamu bwagaanye. Ekisingira ddala okutiisa nti omuntu yatuuse essaawa 5 n'afa ku ssaawa nga 11. Wakati awo abaddewo okuwuliziganya ne district wamu ne Ministry of Health. Naye kyewuunyisa omuntu yatuuse okufa nga response team tennaba kutuuka Kasangati Health Center. Samples ezaamugiddwako wenjogera n'essaawa ya leero zikyaliwo. Ddala Uganda neeteefuteefu okulaba nga erwanyisa obulwadde buno. Obulwadde bwajja weeks zisoba mu 2. Kitegeeza twalibadde ne robust system esobola okumanaginga embeera eno. Tuli mu Kampala wano oyogera Kasangati, bw'ombulira mbwe paka essaawa ya leero samples tezinatwalibwa. Abadde bajjanjaba omulwadde kubanga ebikozesebwa tebiriiwo ebimala. Ekisooka nti baatuuse abasawo nabo nga batidde ne badde ebbali. Taata w'omugenzi n'omwami wa boodi eyamuleese bo bennyini ne bakola ki ne batandika okwekolera ku mulwadde. Tunja kunzija mu saati banensese manfa nyambako wano yeeyambi musayi gujja naye byonna nga amaze obikola essaawa eno nabo tebannaba wadde okufuna obujjanjabi wadde okukeberebwa oba nabo bali infected obugundi okutwalibwa. Kati kiraga ki? Kiraga wekaba nga ddala kawuka ka Ebola ke kazze abantu bali mu kiseera kyakuggwawo.
Nga tumaliriza President agenda kuba ayogerera olunaku olw'enkya ku nsonga eno ey'Ebola. Kikyogera bakole aba Ministry of Health ebyobulamu ne President kikyogera banga akola mu kulwanyisa obulwadde buno.
Ekisookera ddala bazuukuke balage mbu balumirirwa eggwanga lino. Embeera ya Ebola engeri gyali omukyamu ennyo baali badde ng'ebikozesebwa amalwaliro ageetaagisa oba kale wali baddewo pointi emu ng'erina ebikozesebwa byonna nga bwe bafuna amawulire okuva ku pointi emu yonna barespondingirawo immediately ne bajja ne bayamba eddwaliro eyo okulaba nga keesi eyo ebeera addressed nga bwe erina okubeera.
This is Tom Muonge, the Mayor, Kasanga Town Council. We are coming to you live from Kasangati Health Center 4, where one suspected case was reported yesterday, and the patient, 22-year-old young student, died from here, and the samples were taken from him, and the attendants are just there. They are isolated in that isolation ward. They're not supposed to be crossing towards this side. This is Stephen Imbide on Fefe Switchbuga. I'll be updating you more on this story and other stories about on Ebola on Morning at NTV, but also in our subsequent bulletins. Over to you in the studios for the rest of the quality programming here on NTV.
Well, thank you so much, Stephen Bide, for that absurd update. It's the rapidness of response from the Ministry of Health. We ask that is upped a bit. Okay, I'll ask for closing remarks on this conversation. I'll start with the representation from URA. Alex?
Yeah, thank you, Priscilla. In my closing remarks, maybe I would like to mention three things. One, government, and where URA is part of government, is fully behind supporting the agricultural sector, because we recognize that 43% of our gross national product is from that. Number two, the tax policy that we make are made in consultation with stakeholders. That is the VAT Act and all this. We normally consult, and so consultations will continue. Number three, let me also inform the viewers that whatever government does in terms of the poultry sector, we have got two documents that govern the government initiatives, and that is, if you look at the NDP3, the NDP3 promotes import substitution and export promotion. Now, we realize that even the national, we've got a national animal feeds policy that looks at actually generating these things locally, so that we actually build the economy in such a way that it is self-sustaining, integrated. And that's why we have got these local remedies that we are encouraging actually the public to be able to use and our farmers to use. So that is in line with the government policy, to be able to ensure that we are domestically sound, we don't rely on importation, as we also save the import bill. But of course, we are supporting the farmers in terms of dialogue, engaging with them, listening to them, with a view of seeing how we can resolve this. Thank you.
Under a minute.
Thank you so much. I think before I make my remarks,
I have less than a minute.
Okay.
Yeah, okay. Okay, all right, it's okay.
But I think government is not doing enough. You know, when they come on TV, when they come on radio, they have very good words. You cannot talk about substituting the concentrate. For what? Even the maize itself apparently is not enough for the people in the industry. The soya itself is not enough for the people in the industry. So you're going to substitute the chicken feed for what? You know, my biggest challenge here is, you know, when I talk about civil servants, they don't want to listen to what we tell them. Some of them are not doing exactly what they're supposed to be doing. For example, by imposing this tax, you should have come to the farms. Talk to the farmers directly. Don't even talk to those dealers. You talk to us, because we are the Ugandans who are using this raw material. You are targeting the dealers, but for us, we are suffering. We went into farming on the basis of the rallying call, which was made directly by the head of state. And to conclude, I would like to appeal to the head of state to come and rescue us, because he is the person who interested us into this business. And we went well think that he will protect us, he will guide us, but when now government is coming in this situation where all businesses are struggling, and you are bringing up a new tax, is that fair?
Alex, from the revenue end of government, of course, government is looking for money, because I know right now the scarcity of funding for different government projects. That's the reality of the matter. And perhaps, as the mandate of URA is to get as much revenue for government to be able to do its duties. However, perhaps the big question is, why didn't you first have a meeting with those that came up with this decision back in 2017, so that right from the top level, it is something that has been signed and sealed and agreed on by all stakeholders that were in the 2017 Amendment Act.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, briefly, as I conclude, I do understand the sentiments of my brother. What I would like to say here is that, like I said at the beginning, when we're coming up with tax policy measures, we normally consult the stakeholders, and that's the reality. If you look at, and these things are also debated in Parliament.
Wants to ask who did you consult?
No, let me finish. Because of time.
Hold your question. Hold your question.
Let me finish because of time.
By the way, I was waiting for an opportunity to meet a tax.
Yeah, let me
have this kind of debate. Who did you consult when you are introducing such taxes?
No, you see, the policy in 2017, the stakeholders, just like we did yesterday.
The problem, you people are Ugandans,
okay,
but the way you are behaving is as if you are not in Uganda.
Let
me
know that people are losing properties because of...
Let me finish my submission.
Okay.
First of all, I want to appreciate what Mr. Jaguar said. And it's indeed government policy. And that's why we are actually having conversations. And we listen. And it's because of what you have shared with us in our meeting yesterday, we're able to listen, and that's how we came up with these proposals. But two, like I said, let us, even if we're going to this particular phase where we're going to actually, because we're already in the process of the budgeting for the new financial year. Let me finish. We're in the process of budgeting for the new financial year. So we normally consult, and as you've raised it, this is a matter that we are going to make a proposal, and we are going to consult you on this.
I need to ask
this
again.
is what we want to appreciate.
You mentioned the people you consulted, all the entities that you consulted.
We consulted the association. It was actually, by the way, these meetings. Let me indicate this. This meeting are normal. Most of these meetings are organized by the Ministry of Finance, the Tax Policy Department, and after the Ministry of Finance has come up with these policy proposals, they are presented on the floor of Parliament as a bill. And when they're presented on the floor of Parliament, they are discussed and debated. And of course, we get feedback. We get feedback from that, and then after that, we come up with this proposal. So, but the point you're making here is appreciated, that indeed we should actually continue doing more engagements. And that is one thing which we appreciate. We continue doing more consultations, and that is well taken. And that's one of the comfort that I wanted to bring to your attention.
Let me ask you.
Let me ask you.
Now that you're representing government.
Let me first ask you something. What have you lost? What have you lost because of what their decision has come out to be?
Let me tell you, the concentrate, first of all, it reduces on the cost of production. Why? It's not adulterated. Failure to access the concentrate means we are going to go back. We will have less production, whereas the input is too high. So, but before I go there, I want to ask him, because he's representing government, why is it that you always wait for people to first come to TVs, first attack leaders, talk in a way that is not appropriate? Why don't you come up and employ the people that are supposed to do research, get these positions, and then you come up with a meaningful way forward? Because whenever we get into this sort of engagement, some people even lose their way to attack leaders, and you know, the talk is sometimes not well protracted.
So Alex has committed that continued dialogue is going to happen between the association and URA until a final resolution is come upon a month later from today. Definitely. And we thank that. So this is where we are right now. Jagwe, among others, is actually disturbed by this decision because, as he has rightly said, the cost of production is going to be so high. However, when it comes to what they're going to be getting, it's going to be so minimal compared to the results that they've been getting, the benefits that they've been getting. So at the end of the day, the mathematics of